G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video. So today's video was one I didn't think I'd be filming, and I already filmed an intro to this video and it was like 5 minutes long, but I wasn't happy with it. I was in a shitty mood and it just didn't come out right, talking about selling it. I was just in a bad mood, so I thought I'd film a better intro with a bit more joy and spirit and hopes, and tackle this with a better mind. So last video we fixed it essentially and we got it driving, and I was driving it for a while. Did the alignment, drive straight as a dime now. The rear axle's all good. Once I got all the shit out of it and filled the oil, drained the old oil out, filled new oil, got all the shrapnel out of it. Still haven't done the front diff. Was driving near the country where I'm building a house at the moment. On the way back into Melbourne, coming back into Melbourne, my clutch was starting to work less and less. I was like, okay, it's a bit odd. Once I got into Melbourne, I dropped my friend off, coming home, and literally could not select first and reverse. So when you put the clutch to the floor, even fully compressed to the floor, the car would still slowly roll forward. So it was like the clutch just wouldn't fully disengage. So I went over everything the next day. I didn't film it. I went over absolutely everything. I rebled the slave twice, rebled the master. I adjusted the throw on the pedal so it would push the slave a little bit further. Even put a nut on the end of the slave pin to push it a little bit further, and we're getting the same result every time. When you have it in neutral or in first gear with the clutch down, there's a horrible noise coming from inside the bell housing. So I don't know if something in that bell housing adapter's failed. I don't know if the carrier itself's failed. I don't know if the thrust bearing's failed. The thrust bearing was squealing a bit when I was driving it. Or the fork. I had to look through the inspection plate on the gearbox. Fork looked all right. Still looked like it was on the pivot ball. So everything looked all right. But one thing I did notice, and I'll put a little video and a clip that I filmed the other day. I got my missus to put her foot on the clutch and pump it inside the car, and I was having a look. Slave was doing its thing all right. I was pushing the fork fine. Was making a bit of a noise, and I realized that the engine and the adapter plate was separating ever so slightly. And some of the bell housing bolts, not on the gearbox but on the adapter plate to the back of the engine, were loose, and it was actually separating slightly. So I think separation must have wore down the thrust bearing or something. Yeah, we got no clutch anymore, nothing. So I was gonna take the gearbox out, and then I remembered this hand's really fucked. I've got help in that as well, but at the same time, I remember last time I took the gearbox out of this, when we did that the first time we got it, a lot of you probably remember, that was a pain in the ass. So the bloke that built the car, Jay, he messaged me when I took the gearbox out the first time, and he goes, mate, next time just take the motor out, it's a lot easier. Made it quite clear to me, because last time with the bell housing adapter and everything in, it makes it very hard to get this box out. So we're pulling the engine out, and I've almost got it ready to come out. I just got to do air conditioner, extractors, the power steering line at the bottom there, unclip the loom, and then bell housing bolts, and it's ready to come out. So I pull the engine out. It needs a rear main done as well. So we're going to pull the engine out, do the rear main while the engine's out, and then assess all the clutch stuff. Put a new clutch in if we have to. So do it now, do it once. While the engine's out, I'm going to tidy this engine bay up, clean it all out, and make it respectable, tidy wiring. Might as well while I've got it here. That's today's episode. So we'll continue along where I was filming and enjoy. Well guys, it's been a few days later. It's actually been a week later since that last clip I showed you guys. It was the last clip we were in. I've done a lot of camera because I just wanted to sort of get it done in my spare time because I've been working flat out. But engine's pretty much ready to come out now. So we got the chain hooked up and we have everything off. That aircon line's just sitting there because that stud hits the frame rail, so it's going to come off as the engine comes up. All the bell housing bolts are undone. Gearbox is still in there sitting on the cross member, but I've left it loose on the mounts just so it has some play. Oh, excuse me. All the loom's disconnected at the back, off to the side. I'm going to tend to the loom once the engine's out and clean it all up. I called a couple of buddies and no one's really available because obviously it is during the day on a Wednesday, so everyone's at work. So I'm going to try and wrestle it out myself. Probably get my missus to help me. See how we go. First time taking the engine. Now, taking the gearbox out before, that was a pain. But the engine, it takes a little bit longer to disconnect everything in the engine. It's nowhere near as hard. But the top two bell housing bolts were a dog. So I actually had to drop the cross member and lower the engine down and the gearbox. Those engine mounts down there, you can see the way they work. They got like a bolt through them, 2 brackets, and then another bolt through the main engine bracket. So we got to undo 1 bolt, and I'll jack it up with the engine crane, and then we'll do the other 2 and bang bang. So this is where I'm up to currently. Engine's all disconnected now, so literally just gonna yank it out. It's all freestanding if you want to say it, and these manifolds are a pain. They get fucking stuck everywhere. It's completely dislodged from the gearbox, and now we're going to yank it out, and hopefully, because my crane does have this problem where sometimes it doesn't jack all the way up to the top, so I did loosen the wheel off, drop the car down a bit. It did get my RD out pretty easily, so it should get this LS out. So yeah, let's keep going. We're not far off. Hopefully you guys caught most of that. Let's have a look. Can't see any damage clutch wise. Our beautiful adapter plate has survived all the beautiful welding. It is very oily in here, and I saw some water dripping as well, so it'd be interesting to see how that clutch is in there. It's very, very greasy. And then yeah, the fork's chilling in there. Doesn't look like it's broken or anything. Let's just sit this down and see how she is. Alright guys, welcome back. It has been probably 2 weeks since I've touched this car, and here she's sitting now. The reason why is I copped COVID last week and I got it really bad, and it fucking took me out. Took me out for a few weeks. You know, I don't usually get sick. I haven't been sick in like 5 years properly, and I'm vaccinated in that. I just got it from a mate at the gym, and yeah, I got really sick from it, and fuck, it just took the life out of me. So I'm back and I'm ready to rock and roll now. We got the car here and we got the engine down here. I'll show you what I've been up to off camera. I've just been doing a little diagnosing, just making sure everything's okay. In here we have our adapter, thrust and clutch fork assembly all there, just to make sure everything's working. And on the floor over here we have our clutch and flywheel. Now we've established the clutch and flywheel are in great condition. The clutch is pretty much brand new. The blue steel flywheel is fine. That just needs a nice bit of a clean. Clutch is fine. It's got heaps of meat on it. That's a brand new blue. You guys remember that from the earlier videos. That's pretty much a brand new clutch. So we got a new clutch pivot ball as well, and we got a rear main seal. And over here we have, where did I put it? There it is. We brought a brand new genuine Nissan slave cylinder, and there's a part number there if you want to know where to get it. So I always like to go genuine when it's masters or slaves, just because they are the best. This one is nice and springy. I've sort of discovered maybe why the clutch has failed, and that's because the slave cylinder is very weak on this one. It's just like you push it back and it just takes forever to go forward. Even though I've bled it, it's just really, really weak, and it doesn't push the fork the whole way. And I just established that because I pushed my foot on the clutch and had a look underneath, and while the clutch was fully engaged, the slave wasn't pushing the fork the whole way and not riding that thrust bearing all the way into the clutch springs or the fingers. That's going to be a big issue of why the clutch isn't fully disengaged or engaging when my foot's on the clutch. So I explained it last time. I'd be in first gear and the car would still be sort of slightly driving forward, if you know what I mean. It's like the clutch is grabbing while the clutch is fully depressed with the pedal. It looked like on camera that we were getting full throw on the slave cylinder, but it turns out we are not. I'm going to show you something now that's a bit sus as well. I'm going to pull that adapter plate off, and I'll show you that clutch pivot ball as well. It's a bit how you going, and the fork's good, which is good, and the adapter plate's all good, which I'm happy about. One thing we're going to do as well is pressure wash the hell out of this engine bay. I'm going to redo all the loom, redo all the wiring here, try and tuck it under, and just clean this bay up nicely. So I also went to the auto parts store and brought some of this stuff. So this is exhaust wrap, and we got more loom tape for the loom. I've got some more in the thing. We got exhaust paint to clean up our headers. So I got flame-proof primer and paint. Now I couldn't get black paint because for some reason VHT have been short of supplies at the moment. They had a factory fire or something they didn't recover from. That's a bit of a bummer, but we're not going to see it because it's all going to be wrapped. So this is just to clean up those extractors. I'll show you the extractors over here. All right, so here are the extractors. You can see they're pretty, they're actually not too bad. They're just muddy. So I've got to give them a nice pressure wash and a bit of a sand, and then we'll paint them up and wrap them and make them look a bit nicer. Yeah, it's going to be a fun little job to do. At least it'll make the bay look a little bit cleaner, as well as keep the heat down a little bit. A lot of you guys at LSs know that the crank angle sensor and the starter wiring runs down the side of the block, like sort of under the exposed manifold. So you just heat wrapping the headers, and that should hopefully help. You know, if we're sitting on a limiter up a hill, we don't want to get it too hot that we cook the wiring and that. Yeah, it's just a bit of a peace of mind. We don't want to keep having to pull this engine out. I mean, I know how to now, which is good. Here's the engine here. So the engine wise, it just needs a bit of a clean, especially down the side. So I'll just degrease it and wash down the side of it. Other than that, it's pretty good, just muddy. And then yeah, the rim main's leaking at the back, so we'll replace that. Get some flywheel bolts. Don't forget to put that bloody sandwich plate in when we put the engine on. I've done that a few times and you've forgotten the sandwich plate. And yeah, set this engine back in. Also, here's the engine mounts here. So we're going to get new engine mounts. So the way these work are quite simple actually. So instead of the slot down here, this big bolt will go through the slot, and this little bolt at the top where my thumb is will go through the rubber mount on the LS. And then these brackets at the front just sort of slip on, and there you go. So pretty easy to line up. I'm going to buy new hardware because these bolts, you probably see, where is it here? I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but they're quite bent. So I'm going to buy new hardware. That way all the bolts, the other side didn't even have a bolt going through the engine, so it was only connected on one side. So shit like that I just want to fix up, just make it all proper. Because yeah, that way the engine's not twisting and carrying on. And so hopefully make this car a little bit cleaner, and just, yeah, something I've always wanted to do ever since I bought it was just clean everything around the engine and just make sure it's all sweet. But honestly, working on this car, it's been fucking awesome to work on. The hardest thing to do was get to that top bell housing bolt right in that top corner there. So I sort of had to drop the gearbox cross member and go from inside the shifter tunnel with long extensions. Managed to finally get it out, and they were actually hand tight. So make sure I put some Loctite on them this time. One thing I also realized too is when I was pushing on the clutch, the engine was just moving away from the bell housing adapter ever so slightly. I think it was 3 of the 4 bell housing adapters were bolts were loose. So that's another thing I need to fucking make sure that they don't come undone, because you don't want the engine starting to separate and then it starts wearing the input shafts. They've also got this little, I don't know if you call it a sub shaft, you probably remember this. This is like a intermediate shaft or a adapter shaft. So this slides under the Nissan spline at the back, and then that adapts it to the GM spline, and that runs into the GM spigot at the top and makes it all work. Hopefully this never fails. I've always, when I broke this car at Talangi, I thought this input shaft here broke. That's good that it didn't. So I think I'm gonna get to pressure washing first, clean everything up, clean those exhaust manifolds up, make a start on them, make a start on the loom. Hoping to get the engine in this weekend. It is currently Thursday today. Sorry, no, it's Wednesday today. And I want to try and make sure that we have a good week of just working, make sure everything's 100% before we put the engine in. I don't want to rush anything. Let's get started on that. Enough rambling, carrying on, and we'll make this engine bay look a little bit nicer. All right, guys, so I've just soaked the whole bay in degreaser, get all the any shit out of the paint, any grime, any crap that's in there, and also put a plastic bag with a lacquer band over the input shaft, hung the loom up over the top there. So I'm just going to hit all down here and make sure we clean this bay right out, and probably in here as well. Also the front here as well. So I'm just going to give it a nice clean, and hopefully it'll come up nice and neat, and it's a lot better to work on because I touch one thing and I'm covered in dirt. So let's give it a clean. Probably go over it once more and let it dry off. I'll have to hit these a few times, loosen all this mud and crap off of them. Well, good day guys, and welcome back. It's been about a week and a half since the last clip, and I've done a lot off camera just before work, and they've been working so much. Every time I go to do something, I've got to fight the hours before work. Even today I got work in 3 hours, so I'm gonna do as much as I can. I'll show you what we've done off camera and what I'm about to do now. So I've got so much shit to do. Now, one thing I did off camera was over here in the loom. You can see I've redone a lot of it, even all the way down there to the bell housing. All that loom I've redone. I spent about 2.5 hours on this. So I've cleaned up all that. I actually cleaned some wiring over there. It still looks like a bit of a mess, but we've cleaned heaps of wiring that comes into here. Now I can actually see that fuse box. So I've still got a lot to clean up on this side. What have I done off camera besides the wiring? I did wrap the headers, the top runners as well. So here they are here. So I wrapped up just the top here and on that one too. It's the first time I've ever done it, guys, so please don't yell at me. So these ones I wrapped all the way down to the bottom as best as I could for my first time. And these ones are wrapped to the top. Now I did run out of wrap, and it's okay because I can get to the rest from underneath the car. Those are all wrapped up. I did them off camera because it was the first time I've ever done them, and I was like, holy shit. It's very time consuming. It's about an hour each one, I think. It's not very time consuming, but trying to fight work and shit. Another thing we have here is our clutch pivot ball here. Now something I really didn't touch base on last clip was, look at all those washers on this pivot ball. Now this pivot ball's pretty worn, as you can see, and we'll have a look at the new one. This is the new one. Looking beautiful. There's a genuine Nissan one. I'll give you the part number over here, wherever it is. There it is. It's part number pinball. So it was very interesting to see all these washers. Now, I remember when I got the car, the Slave had a spacer on it too on the pin, so someone's spaced it for a reason. Now, I don't know if it's just to match this conversion. You'd think it wouldn't have to be like that. I think I might put the spacers on the new one just so it works. And this was completely loose in the bell housing, guys. I could wiggle it backwards and forwards and turn it. It was all hand tight, so I'm gonna put some Loctite in the new one. That was probably a big reason why our clutch fork was moving around. Now we've got a clutch and flywheel. I've got to put them on, but first we have to pick this engine up, rotate it, and I've got to do the remain. So remain's in there. I just went to the auto parts store, picked up some Loctite, so I do the remain, and then we got to torque up the flywheel, the clutch, bolt the adapter plate back on. Now I'm not going to be changing that thrust bearing there because it is brand new, and one thing that I sort of had to think about the other day as I was thinking about this car, which I do a lot, this gearbox in here is not the best. So when this gearbox goes, obviously we're taking the box out instead of the motor next time. This gearbox will be getting replaced to transfer on that eventually because it does whine in second and third. It gets a bit crunchy sometimes and the transfer case is a bit clucky. So it's going to go out soon. So I thought there's no point replacing a thrust bearing or clutch because they were new when I put them in. And the car's only done like what? I don't know how many Ks, probably not even maybe 3,000. I doubt it. So I'm going to reuse the thrust, reuse the fork, reuse the springs because they're all fine. Just change the pivot ball, the rear main, which was a big reason why I had to pull the engine out, and our Slave. Now, I'm pretty sure I've found the issue why our clutch wasn't working. Now, our Slave that's in there now, I'll show you soon when we pull it out, is it doesn't fully extend like this one does. It sort of just sits there and it doesn't, the pin just sort of stays where it is. It doesn't spring back in a way like this one. So you can see if I do it in this one, you can see this one, how it springs back like that. The other one is really slow. It just sort of does that very gently, but doesn't even spring the whole way out. And the length of this one's way more than the other one, so I don't think it was depressing the clutch the whole way, even though it looked like it was doing it. So I think what was happening was it was just losing pressure over time. Maybe had an internal leak. So I'm not going to replace the master either because the master seems to be okay, and the booster. So we're going to hope for the best and hope that all works. That way everything inside the bell housing should be fine. That way we don't have to pull anything out, and if anything else is carrying on, then we know that it's Slave or master related, so we can fix it around without having to take the motor or the gearbox out. I'm almost out of breath. Okay, I've rambled enough. So what I'm going to do is going to pull the engine crane out from over there, pick this engine up, we'll do the remain, we'll torque everything up to spec. I've got the torque wrench out there, and maybe even sit the engine in there today, see how we go for time. I've got about 3 hours, so let's get into it. Well, not bad. Well guys, I got all the adapter and everything on. And sorry I didn't film it because some dickhead that runs a YouTube channel doesn't know how to keep his camera gear charged. So I thought, why have it on charge for like 30 minutes? I was gonna put the new rear main on, torque the flywheel, torque the clutch plates, bolt this on. Now this adapter was loose last time, so now I'll Loctite them and tighten the fuck out of the bolts. I've greased up all this bastard here because this slides through here like this. So I've greased up that so it slides nicely. Thrust bearing spins so freely, so that's really good. There's no crunchiness, no binding to that. So flywheel bolts torqued up to 100 Newton meters, and the clutch plates I think was 74 from memory. I've got my torque wrench. Where is it? There it is, right in front of me. So everything's torqued up. I sat one of the manifolds on just to get a glimpse. It looks pretty cool. I can't wait to finish the wrap down there. So I think I'm going to try and sit it in the car today because I've got about an hour and 40 till I go to work. So if I can get it in the car, not even bolted in, just sitting in there, that'll be great. So what I got to do is I got to jack the front of the car up, take the wheel off, drop the front of the car on the ground like we did when we took the engine out, and I've got to jack that trans right up into the tunnel so we can slide the input shaft on. The hardest part of this all is going to be trying to get the clutch fork, which is somewhere over there, right there, trying to get him onto that. So I think I'm going to try and shimmy it in while the engine's sort of half sticking on there, and then get it through the hole and try and just get it into the springs on the bearing carrier, and we'll see how we go. Oh shit, I got to put the still got a plastic bag over the input shaft, so I gotta take that off, grease that input shaft up, and I gotta put that new pivot ball on. Yay! Let's get to it. Whee! All right, guys, so another day has passed, and got a little bit too excited yesterday. I wanted to put the engine in, but it was only like an hour and a bit to work. I didn't want to rush it, so I took the bonnet off, got the car set up, ready to go. Bonnet's over there, so I can get this motor, pick it up, and sit it in the vehicle. So what I have to do now to get the engine in, so I've greased up the input shaft, I've got the clutch fork sitting in there, but I have to jack that gearbox up, because see how the engine mounts is sort of high up here. So I'm going to jack the engine, jack the gearbox up all the way, almost into the tunnel, completely, almost crushing that loom. I'm going to take the wheel off, sit the car down on the diff, just so we don't have to have the engine so high up in the air. And yeah, once I get the engine sitting on the mounts, I can bolt the actual mounts in. But for now, I'm just going to get it sitting on there. That way we can line everything up and then do the bell housing bolts. And then once that's done, start bolting everything together. And then Bob's your auntie. So what I did yesterday, after I left you guys, was I just went and thread chased one of the... This is all stripped here, so I just re-tapped that. I think it was an M8 by 1.5 or 1.25. And those ones are all good, so you can see where we've had an exhaust leak here. All the exhaust has come out, so now we've got a bolt that'll go in there and tighten that right up. Alright, so I gave her just a little bit of a clean up with the greaser and some water. Cleaned up as best as I can. It's still a bit dirty like here and that, but it's going to get covered in mud eventually, so just gave the intake plate a nice clean, and just to make it look a little better. Also, I taped off the ports just so no shit gets in there while we're maneuvering it in. I still got I think there's a vacuum port, that one there, got to bung that one off. And now the fun part is, yeah, we're going to be lining that clutch fork up, so let's see how we go. I'm just going as slow as I possibly can, just chilling for now, so just gonna make sure everything just goes in smoothly. It's hard when you're on your own, you gotta try and get it in. I mean, it was harder with my RD, obviously I haven't got it in yet, but just lower it in slowly because the engine crane's gonna push the motor back towards the firewall, so we're just gonna take our time with it. As long as I don't get hung up on the loom at the back there. Well, so far we got the motor in the sort of right spot, but we need to get that shaft down there to make the other shaft. So the shafts are almost touching, so nearly there, almost there. I'm fucking dripping a sweat, guys. What's that loom down there? What's that? Oh, that's breather. Make sure, I just gotta make sure all this wiring stays out of the way, guys. Don't want to pinchy anything. So I got one manifold down there. Hopefully when we put the engine in, I can slip the other one in. It's gonna be a pain in the bottom. All right, let's keep going, guys. Oh, well, guys, it was all going so smooth until the exhaust manifolds got involved. They were a pain to get in and get the engine lined up in one piece, but we got it done. It took about an hour and a half. My buddy Adrian just came around before and helped me do all the bell housing bolts and the gearbox cross member bolt, because we had to tilt the engine all the way back to get to the bottom the top bell housing bolts. They took like an hour on their own. So massive thanks to my mate Adrian for coming to give me a hand. But yeah, it's all bolted in now. So now we've got to take all the precautions to make sure we connect it the right way and the same way it was disconnected. So we'll take our time with it. So I'll do that tomorrow and Friday, because today is Wednesday. That way we can have it probably running by Friday, and make sure we just route everything in the right way. Nothing chafes, nothing touches, nothing shorts, just the way it was before. One thing I'm really happy with at the moment is the clutch fork inside the bell housing is nice and solid now. There's a tiny bit of play obviously where the pivot ball is, but it's not flopping around like it was before. It was unreal how much it was moving around. Now it's nice and solid, nice and tight, and we put our new slave in there. Slave in there is buggered, it's just sort of flopping around, it's got no pressure in it anymore. So new remain, new slave cylinder, so clutch should hopefully operate really nicely. Give the engine a bit of a clean, so I can actually see the cylinder heads now. I can never see the heads before, and the earth points here and the back of the head over there are going to be nice and clean, which is good. I could have gone a lot more further with it, but I really didn't want to go that far with it. But yeah, we got the manifold sitting there. I've scratched the hell out of him, so give him a bit of a touch up. Oh, all right, we'll come back tomorrow. Hopefully I don't get called into work. I probably will. Freaking 8 hours or so, and then we'll continue to put it back together, show you guys some steps along the way. You can tell I'm really tired. But I'm actually really eager to get this fucking thing back on the road again, because I can't wait. I can't bloody wait. Oh, welcome back, guys. It's been a couple of days since the last clip, and been hard at work off camera, buttoning up things, all the boring stuff that you guys don't really want to see, putting all the loom in, routing all the wires the way I want to, because last time it was a bit of a nest. I've taken off so much crap. There's so much room, like the motor looks so tiny in there now. So what I got to do, or what I have done, is just put the exhaust on under there. I put the new slave cylinder on. Still got to bleed it, but I just wanted to kick it in the guts and see if it'll run. So I've had everything. I just had to tighten that fuel pump. I've got no breathers on it at the moment, so it might idle really high. Also here, my buddy made me this cool throttle cable holder, or restrainer, whatever you want to call it, because the other one was broken, so it was literally holding with the cable tie. So my mate Ushan machined me up this, and I did a sick job, so thank you very much, Ushan, for that. That looks really good and holds the cable in nicely, nice and tight now. There's so much slop on it before. So what I gotta do is just double check everything and then kick it in the guts, and fingers crossed it'll run. Now I've got to make sure that every earth's in the right spot, make sure nothing's going to get tangled in the belt. I've also plugged in this air temp sensor, or whatever it is, the AFR in the front there, just so it doesn't idle through the roof onto the pipe. It's got no radiator in it, so I'm not going to run it for long. And if it does run, put the radiator in and give it a bleed the power steering. There's so much more room in this car now. A bit nervous. All right, so I've just gone over and done all my checks just to make sure everything's sort of loosely, like even the battery terminal is just loosely placed on there. Hopefully it's got good cranking amps, because I haven't ran the car in well over a month. You can tell by my voice I'm a little bit nervous. At first I'm just going to prime the fuel. Got the key in, prime the ignition, make sure fuel doesn't spray everywhere. There's a pump, that's good. Got pressure and no leaks. Kick it in the guts. It feels like I've just rebuilt the engine. All I did was take it out, put it back in. It's always nerve-wracking because you don't know if you've connected it right or if you've done something wrong. So I'm going to kick it in the guts. If it idles really high, I'll turn it off, but we'll give it a quick how you going? Please don't blow up, please don't blow up, please don't blow up. Oh, right away. See the idle's high? Yeah. That's running good though. Very good. Oh, there goes the idle. Alright, turn it off. Awesome. How good's that? Bit of smoke coming off that heat wrap, I can see. Yeah, probably can't see it on camera, but I can see smoke coming off the heat wrap. That's pretty normal. Alright, it runs. I was a bit fucking scared then for a second, because it's a bit scary when you take it apart, and I've literally taken everything that bolts under the engine. The thing about it now is I got to make sure everything stays tight. So luckily this time around I've Loctited everything. We have 2 engine mounts connecting the engine now, because only one was connecting it. So this side, you see that now, oh, I don't know if the camera can see it, but down there we've got 2 bolts in there now holding it. Before there was no bolts in there holding it. So no wonder the engine was knocking around. And one thing I noticed as well, putting the exhaust on, this side header, the flange down the bottom was just touching the rail last time. Now it's got good clearance, so the engine's sitting up high where it needs to be. I'm happy with that. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna tie up all these main power cables. I'm gonna mount the catch can. I drilled a new hole in the catch can because we broke the mount. So I've got a new hole in the catch can there, so we can mount that. Put the radiator in, then the coolant. Radiator is over there, so I can bring him out. Might give him a wash actually. Go out there, give it a hose. I appreciate you guys hanging around and watching this stuff, because this is over 4 weeks, over a month of work, condensed into probably like a 20-minute video. So give us a like and subscribe. That'll help a lot, and I can. I'm actually happy because now I can get my other cars out. Oh, fingers crossed if this thing moves. All right, bring you back when we're doing cool stuff. All right guys, so we are back and it's pretty much put together now. I've been putting the water into the radiator, just making sure everything is connected the right way. Started up before, it runs really nice, got all the breathers in, catch can on, catch can is down. We have a problem though, pretty big one. I'm hoping this is just temporary, because I really hope this isn't a fucking issue, because I'm gonna be really pissed if it is, because I don't even know if the clutch works yet. But we went to all that effort of replacing the rear main, and just for running it for like 5 minutes, that's a new puddle of oil, and that's engine oil, and it's coming from there, it's leaking from there. Now last time it used to leak from this side of the engine when the rear main went. Now it's leaking from this side with a new rear main, brand new rear main, bolts all torqued down, brand new gasket. Oh, there's that new slave cylinder, by the way. Yeah, I don't really know what's going on there. I really hope that isn't a problem, because if it is, we've gone to all that work for no reason. It's cars for you. One thing I've got to do now is bleed our new slave. I'm not happy about that. I really hope that's just like leftover oil. It doesn't leak when the car's running. It's like when you turn it off and it leaks. I mean, that's what it used to do when the rear main seal was leaking. So I don't really know what's going on there. If it is a rear main, I think I'm going to sell this. No, I'm not going to sell it. I think if the rear main's leaking, if it's bad, if it's not bad, maybe put some stop leak in it and see if it stops. If it is bad, I think this time I'm just going to pull the box out and I'm going to replace the gearbox with another one. Because I cannot be asked. I'm moving in like 2 weeks. Actually, I might kick it in the guts now and just see how she sounds. You'll hear it idle much better. And the keys aren't in it. That squeak's a power steering pump. All that water's from when I washed the radiator. Smells nice. Oh, idle's nice. The power steering's making a bit of a noise and there's a bit of water on the pulleys. Oh, it's so quiet here, no more exhaust leak. Let it run for a bit, put some water in it, see how we go. Been running for about 5-10 minutes. How's the coolant looking? Beautiful. Now I've got it filled up to the top. It's nice and cool, got the fans going. Pretty good. Rear main is, it's not pissing out, but like it's just dripping. I was giving it some high RPM before, but that puddle there. Those are old puddles. This one's the new one. Very interesting. It's so quiet up in here, like exhaust wise. It used to leak at the back. Same with the front here. God, it was smoking like crazy before because of that exhaust wrap. God, still a little bit, but fucking hell, I thought it was on fire. But I think it's the paint on the headers, the paint on the manifolds, and the wrap. Still got to bleed the power steering, but I think what I'll do now is I'll get the missus to come out and help me bleed the clutch. See if we can move it. Good to hear it, but we're all back into life though. Holy shit. Well guys, I finally got it back together. As you saw before, I put the bar on. It's another day today. Put it all back together, put the airbox in, put all the interior back together. The reason the interior was out obviously was to get to the top 2 belly housing bolts. You got to go through the shifter hole, so I just take because when I drop the gearbox, take the surround out. So I've just double checked over everything. I rolled it back yesterday, bled the clutch. So today we're going to give it a little bit of a go. And good news, I had it running for about 15 minutes yesterday, just to bleed the coolant, and we have no leak. So I think that rear main leak, or that oil leak, was just like excess residue that was sort of like draining, because I did degrease the back of the block as well, so maybe that was just a bit that was when the sandwich plate sort of pressed on the back, it might have just leaked out a little bit. The clutch feels amazing. I had to look under there and watch the throw of the slave, and there's much more throw last time, so much more. So I've just double checked everything, double tightened everything, filled the coolant right up to the top. It's first thing in the morning, so I'm just like still waking up, so I'm gonna take it for a little spin and hopefully it's all good. So I moved the Falcon over there, the AU, and rolled this back, and we'll give it a kick in the guts and take it for a spin around the block. Just make sure we have all the tools out, because I've done that before. I've taken the car for a spin and tools have been in there. We've all done that before. All right, first start today, cold start. Starts right up. I still got to bleed the power steering actually. I've just only put about half fluid in there. 14 volts, 31 degrees, nice and cold. All right, let's feel the clutch. Oh, it goes into gear so much easy. So before, what was happening is that I put the clutch in like that, and I go into gear, it'd just get jammed and I have to force it in. But now look at that, I can literally one finger it. Oh, that's what we want. So clutch in, there's reverse, and we're moving. I can smell the exhaust wrap already, or the headers. I'll take it for a little spin. All right, we're moving. I don't know what that is. I think that's transfer case. That's transfer case. Might not be fully in gear actually. I think that's transfer case because the fucking transfer shifter was going nuts. That's better. I don't think it was in gear properly. Yeah, it wasn't in gear properly, that's what it was. It was trying to pop out of two-wheel drive. I shit myself a little bit then. It does drive pretty well though. I do miss it. All right, I'm gonna do a couple of laps and then I'll bring it back to the house. Gotta bleed that power steering a bit more. Yeah, this cheeky devil kept trying to jump into four-wheel drive because I was watching the green light in the dash and it was shaking the shifter. I thought fucking I broke something and shit myself. Oh shit. That fucking oil. Well guys, so the clutch is fixed. Clutch is fixed and working well. The only problem is we're still leaking oil. Got little drops there and all the way to the back where it's dripping. And it's dripping out of, looks like the back plate that we got. You can see down there it's dripping. And it looks like the plate that we got, like the rear main plate, it's leaking. And I cleaned the gasket surface really nicely and pretty much the exact same like I did the first time. So I feel like it's coming out of the plate rather than the rear main because it's just sort of leaking around the bottom of the bell housing. But it's weird because last time it leaked on the driver's side of the motor. Now it's leaking on the passenger side of the motor. So it's leaking quite a bit. I'm not happy with that. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm moving in a couple of weeks, guys, so I might retire this car for a bit maybe and just focus on other things. Still got to worry about getting that front drive shaft out. So this drive shaft here, or this axle still snapped, so I still got to get that out of the housing. But I mean, it's good to get it together and it does drive well. It's just it leaks oil now. One thing after the other, eh? I guess that's part of cars, guys. The only problem is we gotta unbolt everything again. I'm not taking the engine out this time. I think what's gonna happen is, because with moving and everything, I really can't be asked doing it again. So I think it is actually leaking a lot. That's two laps around the block. Have a look at this, guys. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. Fuck. What do we do, guys? I mean, it moves now, so I can get the cool cars out and actually work on them. The 180, I can get the Skyline out. I can actually get cars that I genuinely enjoy. I mean, this time, you know, we have to disconnect so much stuff if we have to do the trans. I've done it that many times, it's sort of fucking quick now. So yeah, I think that's what we're gonna have to do. Maybe next episode we'll do the front. I'm gonna put my front locker back in. So I'll put the front locker back in with the new axle, and I'll just change the gearing. Well, that's 4 weeks of work. Well, I had 1 week, I had COVID. 4 weeks of work. I thought it was good, but we still have an oil leak. It's not severe, but it's there. I mean, what do you reckon? Run a bottle of stop leak through it? Nah, I don't want to do that. It's leaking out of the front of the adapter plate and the rear. So all the oil, it must be squirting out with oil pressure. It's fucking weird, guys. Yeah, I really don't have an explanation for that. I'm a bit shocked. Oh well, that's cars for you. It never always goes to plan. Oh well, before I start rambling on and carrying on, I might just I might end it here, and I don't know, while I'm editing, while I'm uploading this video, I'll think about what I want to do. If I want to continue, if I want to just rest the car for a while. I know you guys want to stay at the bush, that's why I'm, as much as I want to drive it, you know, I know I'm excited, but I know you guys are way more excited than I am to get this thing out more. It's just so annoying. Little shit like that's just really annoying. That leak. I had it idling for so long yesterday and it had no leak. I guess under RPM and driving, maybe. Yeah, I've got no idea. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, maybe what's going on. Maybe it's pinched the seal as it's going, but it shouldn't have, because when you put the engine in the adapter plate's on the back of it, and the input shaft's going through the back of the adapter plate. It's got nothing to do with the rear main. So one plus side is we've got no exhaust leaks at the front anymore because we thread chase those threads. You let me know, what do you think I should do, guys? Let me know in the comments. Should I just fix it in the next couple of weeks, grow a pair of balls, pull the gearbox out and get another gearbox for it? Should I wait until I move out and then once I'm settled in the new place, start with it? or should I just drive it as it is and see if it gets better or worse? Let me know in the comments what you think. This is cars for you, so I think I'm gonna work on more cool cars than this thing. Thanks so much for watching. If you can like and subscribe if you like the footage, and if you want to see this thing on the road anytime sooner, give this video a like, and that'll help me get some motivation to fix it. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. See you later.